Say, man, you see my crab cakes? Till I'm all alone. If you see my crab cakes, tell her things went wrong. Don't call on the phone and bring a black draw home. I got some Louisiana hot sauce, a little tartar too. Come on, little girl, tell me what you wanna do. Them Maryland crab cakes are the best in town. Them Maryland crab cakes are the best in town. So come on, baby, let's get Louisiana down. If you see my crab cake, have you seen my crab cake? If you see my crab cake, tell I'm all alone. Tell her I still love her, and when she come back home.
Now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calagione. It's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening. Hey, Porky. Whenever you're listening, hope you're doing all right. Don't forget the show's being brought to you in part by Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service. If you're looking for a limousine and you're located someplace in the United States, then you need to give my girl, Kat, a call, 202-351-7496. That's 202-351-7496. Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service is the official limo service of this year's Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame Induction Weekend Gathering, which is taking place November 16th, 17th, and 18th. Make your plans now. Better get your tickets now. All that happy stuff. Do it now. Visit the website, www.billycboxing.com. Click one of the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame banners. Yeah. That'll take you to the latest news. And as a matter of fact, Curon is working on the new brochure. So if you want to print that out and read about all the fantabulous stuff that's going to be going on that weekend, then you do so. But make your plans now. And don't forget, if you're looking for a limo, you'll look no further than Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service, 202-351-7496. Just remember, she's my girl. Mine, all mine. The show is also being brought to you in part by Campanaro Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, I don't care what you need, man. You need some paperwork filed. You're getting a divorce. Maybe you need some custody of that brat kid of yours. I don't know. Maybe you're buying some real estate. Maybe you got yourself into some trouble and you need a criminal lawyer. Whatever type of lawyer you need, you got to visit the firm of Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call, 845-221-4099. It's the same firm that keeps me out of trouble. That's a full-time job, 845-221-4099. And for you, I'm going to give you the, just tell them Billy C said that I'm going to pick up the consultation fee. They love it when you say that. So give them a call, 845-221-4099. 845-221-4099. And, of course, my friends over at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls, the outdoor section of the facility is open. And guess what? They had a fish fry. You see, you got to go there because things are happening that we don't even know. We can't even tell you. We don't even know what's going on there. As a matter of fact, I spoke with the big cheese over there, the chief bottle washer, and he told me that this weekend, guess what they had there? Because they had the outdoor thing open, the weather was nice. They decided to throw a fish fry, and you could eat all of the fish you wanted for nothing. It was for free. I'm like, Craig, man, what are you doing? How you going to make money doing it like this? He said, well, they got to wash it down with something, don't they? I see. So you paid for your beers, but you got all the fish fried for free. He wanted me to come over, but I don't eat fish. I said, maybe if you have like a filet mignon fry, I'll be there, bro. But speaking of being there, I'm going to be there this week, Friday night. Here's the problem. It's a late night for Friday night fights, man. It doesn't start till 11 p.m. Eastern time. The only people that like that are my guys out on the West Coast, like my friend Tony Treem, who's in the chat room right now. And he's going to be coming up later this week, kicking off the heavyweight spotlight. So we're looking forward to his debut. And you know what? He don't mind when Friday night fights are on at 11 o'clock because it's normal hour for him. I think I would rather watch him like at 6 p.m., tell you the truth. Like they get to see all the time. 6 o'clock, man, you're done by 9. But anyway, Halftime Bar and Grill this Friday. Swing by. I'm going to definitely need you there this week because, how am I going to stay awake, man? How am I going to stay awake if the first fight doesn't even start till 11 o'clock? Looks like you guys are going to have to be pumping me full of scotches. So come on up to the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. Remember, the food is great there. 518-792-4869. That's 792-4869. Just please, please, please do me a favor. If you're coming in from out of town, or even if you do live in the area, and you do plan on buying me a bunch of scotches, and you plan on also having a few yourself, don't drink and drive. All right, just don't drink and drive. We can hook you up with some great hotel deals. There's actually hotels walking distance from the halftime. So just drop me an email, and I'll be glad to help you with that. We don't need any stupid trouble. Although I want you to call Campanaro and Tomkovich, I don't want you to call them for that reason. So drop me an email if you're looking for a place to stay. Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. Hey, the intro music, man, gets you going, gets me going. We're going to be focusing on some past requested songs, and that's one of them, man. A lot of people like that one. I like that one. That's called Crab Cakes by Memphis Gold. It's a blues band. If you're interested in that, remember, the music that we go with prior to our intro is being sponsored by Radiosubmit.com, so check out their website, www.radiosubmit.com. This week, busy week as usual. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, our heavyweight spotlight's going to be on Young Striving, and the spotlight's also going to be on a new member of our family. He doesn't know, but he's part of the family now. Once they get you in, you never leave. Well, I guess that's not true. But anyway, Tony Treen out in Las Vegas. Not only is he going to be doing the heavyweight spotlight, but we're going to be talking later on about him being the man in Vegas for us for all the big fights. So we're excited about having him on board, and you can check him out this week. I don't know which day. I think we're airing that on. I think that he's going to come on Thursday. I know it's not Wednesday. But I'm pretty sure I don't have that part of the schedule in front of me. It's going to be on Thursday. I'm 99% sure he's coming on Thursday. I guess I should know that, right? But anyway, I'm also going to be breaking down the flyweight division tomorrow. That's right. Tomorrow I'll be breaking down the flyweight division. So we'll be you'll be looking forward to that one. And speaking of tomorrow, normally maybe if we you never know. Maybe we'll do that on tomorrow. But anyway, the heavyweight spotlight. Our blast from the past is a former world champion and boxing Hall of Famer. Now, I think if you're keeping score, we've already done this guy once before, but I got another request from a email. I don't know if it's a viewer or a podcast listener. Mickey Walker is going to be our blast from the past this week. Alex Papali will present that. And our feature fighter, which I'm going to try to get to at some point during the week, maybe even later today, since it's such a slow day in the sport, Dwight Muhammad Quai is going to be our feature fighter. So that's what we got cooking this week. And speaking of a slow week, you had an Easter holiday. I hope everybody, I hope the Easter buddy was nice to all you guys. All he did was crap all over my lawn with those eggs. I can't stand hard-boiled eggs. So of course the Easter bunny's got to decide to relieve himself of all the hard-boiled eggs in my lawn, on my lawn. And then those little kids from all around the neighborhood. Yeah, right. And the only neighborhood I have is deer and ticks. But I'm going to read some emails before we get to the results of the fights that took place this weekend, the handful of fights. I want to remind you before we get started about the May 18th fight that's going to be on ESPN. But it's not going to be too far from where we broadcast live every day, and it's going to be at the Albany Times-Union. Star Boxing's putting it on. I love the main event. Raymond Serrano against Kareem Mayfield is the main event. Now, we're going to be giving tickets away here on the show. We're also going to be giving tickets away up at the Halftime Bar and Grill, like we usually do for any event that's somewhat close to the area, anywhere. I say close, as long as it's a 3-hour drive or less, that's close. All of us boxing fans drive, anywhere to see a good event. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But if you want to get tickets right now, you can visit our website. Now, we don't have the updated fight post yet because Star Boxing hasn't sent it to me yet. But you can click the Star Boxing fight poster that's up there from their last show, which was the Chris Algieri card last week or a week before. So click that. That'll take you to the to their site, and then you can get tickets. Make sure you demand the Billy C discount. And don't forget about Billy C Bucks. We give you money for every single. We give you Billy C Bucks for every single ticket you buy to any event, no matter where it is in the U.S. or abroad. So if you're going to a fight and you already bought tickets, we'll give you a Billy C buck for every ticket you bought and 5 Billy C bucks for any ringside seat. But it gets better than that, because if you go with a show like this one that we are supporting and we're recommending that you go to, we give you 5 Billy C bucks for any ticket you buy and 10 for any ringside seat. All you got to do, there's one rule. All you got to do is send us copies of those tickets, proof that you have those tickets prior to the event. We do not accept them after. So all you got to do is either email them to me, Billy at talkinboxing, TALKINBOXING.com, or you can fax it 845-314-9612 and open up your account today. The Billy C books never expire, and you can use it for anything that we sell. T-shirts, you can use them towards your Billy C Boxing Hall of Fame weekend, all that stuff. If you're buying tickets and you're going to fights anyway, why not start accumulating Billy C bucks? Hey, listen, I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I got some emails to talk about, and we'll get through those. Then we'll get the results of the fights. We'll talk about that. I got some other things I need to talk about, all coming up in a couple of minutes.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Roselli Enterprises. Roselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flowboys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Roselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RoselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IBO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at iboboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. You're watching the replay on LDL TV. Glad you could join us on LDL TV. Still waiting for my date with the gorgeous blonde Dawn. She's not blonde, but she's Dawn, and she's gorgeous. Speaking of LDL TV, you know, they did another marathon, another Billy C marathon. I got to get the numbers, but if it's anything like last weekend, man, we seem to be doing okay. On my man John from LDL TV puts a collection of the shows from the previous week, and he runs them up on Ustream through LDL TV, and we get really good viewership, man. Even though they're replays, not only are we getting good viewership on Ustream, but they're putting us on the front page of their sports section, which is really, really good. So LDL TV is really knocking home the Billy C show. So we're happy about that. I got a couple of emails to read. Like I said, it was kind of a slow weekend. And I got one from a new listener, viewer, whatever. O'Neill C. Black says, love to talk about boxing. This is a great show. Good stuff. So I want to thank O'Neill C. Black for that one. Man, my man Given Quality sent me and I want to give him props here. And the reason why is because, he sent me, now as you guys know, you could send me an email anytime you want, and if you don't want me to discuss it on the show or whatever, that's fine. Just tell me. For your eyes only. This is for you. Please don't repeat it. Blah blah blah. Whatever. And I won't. But I got to give Given Quality props because I'll tell you why. Now when I mention Given Quality, what's going to come out of my mouth next, right? And David Allen is already covering his ears. But yes, it's a Floyd Mayweather Jr. Issue, and I just want to say this. Now, I'm not gonna say anything about Floyd. You know, I get a lot of hassle from all the Floyd lovers out there that, you know, I'm always knocking Floyd, and I don't think it's true. I mean, yes, I am very adamant, and I admit I don't like Floyd the man, but I can't deny his talent inside the ring. But the reason why I'm bringing him up is simply because of this. Given Quality showed me, because I had sent him an email, and we were corresponding back and forth, and you know, he had sent me some clips, like this collection of clips that was showing, and originally the clips that he sent me was basically showing Floyd Mayweather and you know, him saying that he wanted to fight this guy and that guy, and you know, to kind of tell me that he wasn't ducking people, and also that he was fighting through injuries and what have you. So that was the original intent of Given Quality, why he sent it to me. But during my review of all these clips, and I was really thankful, I know I thanked him last week for it, during my review of all these clips, I started to notice a trend. And, you know, I never was a big Larry Merchant fan. You guys know that. If you've been listening to the show for a long period of time, you know, I don't like guys that act snooty, you know, especially in this sport. You know, I just don't think boxing and being like a stuck-up snob is synonymous, you know. And that's the way he kind of acts with I was going to say with me, with all of us, you know, the way he talks and he tries to. And I've had this conversation with my man Alex Papali, and I'm like, you know, it's not like, you know, boxing people aren't intelligent. It's just like we don't need to hear that. We don't need to hear it something a knockout presented as you know, like it's a literary like it's going to be some kind of a win a literary award or something like that. We don't need that. It's not. We're not looking for people to you know, win awards for their wording and their high level of intelligence. Not in the sport. I'm sorry. Maybe it's just me. Maybe because I'm just a dumb boxing guy. But you know, the bottom line is this: I was watching this stuff and I saw that, you know, it's true that Larry Merchant has always, you know, talked to Floyd Mayweather in such a condescending way, such a he's better than, you know, everybody way, you know. And I'm not talking about Floyd. I'm talking about Larry, you know. And you know, I got to give him Quality props because he sent me some more. And it's so true that, you know, Larry Merchant has kind of, you know, had the old heart on for Floyd for a long, long time. And I, for one, was very critical of Floyd's reaction to Larry Merchant after the Victor Ortiz debacle. But, you know, after seeing the tapes, and it's not that I didn't see the fights, it's just that I got to be honest, it slipped my mind of how bad Larry really was to Floyd. And I give Floyd credit for some of the interviews. Now I admit that some of those questions that Larry was asking him, Floyd was dodging and avoiding and you know, gave us the old smoke screen and everything else. But still, you know, at some point in time, you talk to him like a man. Now, I will tell you this. Now, I've never met Floyd. I've never met Floyd in person. And if I ever did, I'm the same person you listen and watch to every day in outside. I'm the same. And I will admit that I won't act, and I will never act like Floyd is better than me. You know, he's not better than anybody, in my opinion, unless you're talking about fighter. Of course he's better than me. He's better than most. He's better than everybody out there today. But my point is that I'm not going to be in awe of Floyd Mayweather just because he's Floyd Mayweather. And, you know, the truth of the matter is, though, you know what he can expect from me? No disrespect. I'll tell you that. I wouldn't talk to him like I wouldn't talk to him in a disrespectful manner. And I believe that Larry Merchant has been talking to Floyd in a disrespectful way for years, not just recently, for years. And I just wanted to give Given Quality a shout-out about that because I appreciate him, you know, pointing that stuff out, giving me some facts to go by here. And speaking of facts, we got some stuff happening in the UK. I got an email from my secret UK reporter. Now this is listen, it's no secret. It's Curon, all right? And Curon, I've been trying to get him to come on the show. Now Curon does a lot of stuff for this show behind the scenes, And, I've been like, man, you got to come on. I wanted him to do a UK report and everything else, but he's a little shy. But he keeps me informed on a lot of stuff that's going on. And one thing that he sent me yesterday, I think it was. It was yesterday. He says, an amazing development that I thought I'd never hear, especially not to replace football. Now, when he says football, he doesn't mean American football. Like when I talk to Scotty or whoever, Joe Santoliquito, about football, we're talking about American football. In England, they're talking about soccer. Or we call it soccer, they call it football. And I will tell you this, I haven't had the luxury of traveling to England. I've never been there. But I have been to a couple other places in Europe. And the one thing I noticed, aside that they don't speak English, is the fact that football or soccer, whatever you want to call it, is on 24 hours a day, every single channel. I mean, if you can't find a soccer game in Europe on the tube, you're not turning the television on, because I was amazed at how many. And they're, because they broadcast all over Europe, it's all different times, and man, it was just amazing to me. And keeping that in the back of your mind, it was announced, and Kieran brought this to us, that Channel 5 in England is going to be dropping their coverage of the Europe League football season, which is a season that has what they describe as Europe's half-decent clubs and a Champions League flop. So they have Championship League and the teams that don't make it in there, and then the OK teams are between them and the OK teams. They made up this Europeans tournament, and they're going to be replacing the television coverage with that. They're taking that soccer coverage off, and they're replacing it with boxing on Channel 5, which I think is great. And he says that one of the reasons is from the somewhat success of Box Nation. That's actually a it's a subscription. Easy for me to say, subscription-based channel. So, man, here we are saying, in a lot of places here in the States that boxing's dead, and we look over in the other side of the pond, and it's alive and well. And here's what one of the reasons were. One of the reasons was that the insiders for the channel say that they believe that boxing will be a better fit for the young male viewers that they're trying to reach, today's young male viewers, versus soccer. So could this be a trend that maybe is going to transcend over here to the States? I don't know. But great news happening in the UK on regular television, and that's what they call it, regular telly out there. So thanks for that email. One last one. I got one from my man Mike Irving, and Mike says, a random question occurred to me. He says, how do you think the best version of Evander Holyfield would have gotten it on, if he would have gotten it on with one of the Klitschko brothers? And also, what about him versus the best Riddick Bowe? What do I think would have happened? Great email, Mike. Well, first of all, let's talk about the Klitschkos. This pains me to say this, and I want to start off by saying that I was never really, and I still to this day am not a real big Evander Holyfield fan. I don't really, I can't even tell you why, because the guy's accomplished everything. Listen. The first thing I am in the sport of boxing is a boxing fan. And, although some listeners believe that, we're not supposed to be fans here on this show, and we're not supposed to get riled up and go back and forth with a listener or a viewer the way any two fans would. We're supposed to be, above that, but that's not true. Excuse me. As you all know, being a boxing fan definitely gets you riled up. So I'm a boxing fan first, and I just was never a big fan of Evander. I'm not taking any of his accomplishments away. As a matter of fact, this was a guy that people forget was one of the first fighters to incorporate the new technologies with his training regimen. He was one of the first guys to use advanced, Nautilus machines and stuff like that, to build up his size the right way and dieting and everything else. I mean, before Evander Holyfield, people were still running up and down hills, chopping wood and stuff, lifting weights to a degree, but not like Evander did. And the other thing about Evander is I don't think I've ever seen a fighter with faster recuperative powers as Evander Holyfield had. I'll never forget the fight against George Foreman. He was virtually out. Foreman nailed him with such a powerful shot that he staggered back, and the opposite end of the ring's ropes were hanging him up. And the time it took big old George to plod across the ring to hit him one more time, that would have knocked him into Dream Street, Evander got enough recuperation to survive. So I don't know if there's any other fighters that could survive as quick as him. Hey, listen, I got to take a break. I'm actually a minute over. When I come back, I'm going to give you my thoughts on Evander Holyfield against Klitschko's and a prime Riddick Bowe. What would have happened if the two would have fought?
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretcher, that man, I would
think. You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. from upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell him Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C, the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting?
Yeah,
Wait, what?
Wrong.
What's the problem?
Billy,
what?
C.
I did not have...
We're going to have to ask you.
Wrong speech.
Leave.
What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, then you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. It's that simple. All of the providers know about the channel, and it's up to you to get it on your provider. It's that simple. Pick up the phone, Tell them you want the Fight Now channel, add it to your sports channel lineup. For all the information about Fight Now, you can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. Speaking of Fight Now, I want to welcome the Fight Now audience just joining us like they do every day, Monday through Friday, from 6 to 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We're talking about a mailbag that I got from my man Mike Irving. He wants to know, in my opinion, who would have, do I think the best version of Evander Holyfield would have, how he would have done against the Klitschko's, either one, and also about a prime, top, peaked Riddick Bowe. First of all, I was just saying about, I had to tell you that I honestly wasn't a big fan of Evander Holyfield. Never was, never will be. But I got to give him a lot of credit for him really being a pioneer with some of the, more modern training techniques that all fighters kind of do now. Now it's the norm, not the exception. And it's almost like the exception for fighters to go back the old ways and chop that wood and run up those hills and work boots and all that stuff like I was talking about. But when you get down to the nitty-gritty, and this pains me to say, no one loves the old-time fighters more than me. Right? I would argue to the death that, I'm a bigger fan of the all-time greats, the Jack Johnsons, the Sonny Listons. I throw Tyson in there, of course, Joe Louis, and on and on and on. I love these guys, the Jack Dempseys. I mean, of course, my guy, Tom Molyneux, Rocky Marciano. I mean, all these guys. No one loves them more than me, all right? However, when you start talking about Klitschko, you're adding a different dimension into the mix. Now, I'm not suggesting that the Klitschko brothers, and I'm going to refer to the Klitschkos as one because they're very similar, even though we know that Vitaly has a better chin. We know that Vladimir has a better jab. So let's combine them for this dream matchup sake. Let's combine them into one, just for argument's sake. And here's the thing. I don't think that they have the talent that some of the earlier fighters had. I just don't. I just don't think they have the talent. I don't think they have the boxing talent of Evander Holyfield. The multiple arsenal that Evander Holyfield had, the multiple arsenal that a Mike Tyson had, or a Joe Louis had, or any of the greats I mentioned. But what they do have, and the reason why I think they added a different dimension to it, is because what you're dealing with here is a guy that's 6'5". I'm sorry, 6'7". All right, that weighs 250 pounds of chiseled muscle that's in fantastic shape. These are not guys that come in out of shape sometimes. These are guys that are in top physical condition all the time. Whenever there's a fight, you're never going to hear somebody say, well, they looked a little flabby. They didn't have a good training camp, so they didn't look good. You'll never hear that about a Klitschko. And I really believe in the old saying that a good big man will beat a good small man every time. And I think that that's what we're up against when we take these dream matchups with fighters of yesteryear and put them in with a Klitschko when we're dealing with heavyweight division. I just am not sure that anyone would have been able to get underneath the jab. I know all you got to do is, that's what everyone starts the sentence off with. All you got to do is get underneath that jab and work the body and get inside and chop that tree down. All you got to do is that. And then it's easy to beat a Klitschko. All you got to do is do that. And every single fighter that has come on knows that. They all know, and every single fighter that's come on the fight Klitschko's, I should have finished my sentence. They know that that's the game plan. They know that all you got to do is get inside, work the jab, and knock that tree down, chop that tree down. But here's the situation. No one's been able to do it. Not lately. Not after these two guys learned how to fight. And I think that Evander Holyfield would have been in the same boat. I think Evander Holyfield would have tried to get inside, and they would have kept him away with a jab and occasionally sprinkled in a power right hand and eventually break him down just like they break everybody else down. Now Evander Holyfield, granite chin, quick recuperation powers. Listen, great matchup, but I just think, I don't know. Now you can argue and say, well, look what he did to Valuev. We all know that, at least in my opinion. I watched that fight, and this was a 150-year-old Holyfield. I gave Holyfield the fight. I picked Valuev, but I gave Holyfield the fight. I thought that he won. I thought that he landed enough punches, and he darted in, darted out. But here's the big difference. It's not like there hasn't been big, giant heavyweights in the past. I mean, all you got to do is look at Jack Dempsey and see how he won the title. But the difference with the Klitschko's is that they're athletic. These are guys that can move around. I mean, didn't Vitali break a record of throwing and landing punches against Samuel Peter? Wasn't that the fight that he broke I know a heavyweight record. He might have even broken other weight class record. But, I mean, he threw and landed more punches than any other heavyweight ever. And this is a monster guy. And now, granted, against Sam Peter, but Sam Peter was regarded, I know by myself, as one of the better fighters at the time. So, to answer Mike's question, I think Evander Holyfield comes up short against a Klitschko. I hate to admit it, but I think it's true. Now, as far as a prime, top-notch Riddick Bowe, come on, man. We all thought Riddick Bowe was going to be the next thing, man. We all thought that this was going to be the guy. I would have loved to have seen, Riddick Bowe and Holyfield. I don't know. I like Holyfield. In that one. I think Riddick Bowe showed us some stuff that wasn't. I don't know. Riddick Bowe could have been a great fighter. I know he was a champ for a while, and I know everything leading up to it. I think it's a shame what's happened now with him, but we'll never know. We'll never know how great, if he could have been great. But he still wants to come back. He still wants to fight now. I think, the thing about him was he was a pretty big dude. He had some fast hands, had some decent hand speed, all that stuff. So I don't know. He wants to know. I'm reading the question wrong because Riddick Bowe and Holyfield, but he wanted me to know. The question is how would a prime best Riddick Bowe handle a Klitschko? Is what I'm talking about. I know the wording I just used sounded wrong, but I'm saying the same thing about Holyfield as I'm saying about Riddick Bowe, or I should rephrase that. I'm saying the same thing about Riddick Bowe as I said about Holyfield. I think Riddick Bowe, because he's a little bigger, may have given the Klitschko's a little more trouble, but I think that Riddick Bowe would have ended up losing as well to a Klitschko. The only thing that Riddick's got going for him is he was much bigger, and he had some fast hands, but so did Evander. So anyway, and of course those two had already gotten it on, but. So anyway, thanks for the emails there. One thing I wanted to mention before we go to the score of the Friday night fights and the Saturday night fights is we have our poll question up there now, and they're talking about it. They're talking about it in the chat room right now, and they're voting for the. Well, Ryan says I'm not an expert, so I don't know, man. But the thing is this. We have the poll question up there, which was suggested by my man Mac from the Philippines, and the question is if the two greats would have fought each in their prime, Manny Pacquiao against Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., now Papa Chavez, who would have won? Well, I'm a little surprised that right now you guys all think that Manny Pacquiao would have comfortably won. He's way ahead, 75% to 25% even. As of right now, they're saying in the chat room, ask me, what do I think? Ryan says I'm not an expert, so I don't know what Ryan thinks, but I think that Manny Pacquiao, it's hard. We've seen Julio Cesar Chavez struggle against guys with a lot of hand speed, and he got a couple of gifts against a couple of guys that do have hand speed. But they were also very orthodox boxers. The fighters that he had trouble with were guys that fought in an orthodox manner, and I don't mean as a righty. I mean delivering punches from normal angles and stuff like that. And Manny Pacquiao doesn't do that. He darts in, darts out. I think that Julio Cesar Chavez would have been able to cut the ring off, and if he would have gotten Manny Pacquiao against the ropes or something like that in a corner, he probably would have done some damage. It's hard to say. A lot of people think that Julio Cesar Chavez was grossly overrated. That a lot of his 3-digit fights, 3-digit wins were against Tijuana taxi cab drivers, which is probably very true. But hey, you know what? I don't know who would have won. I like the question. I think I see a lot of reasons why I think Manny would have won, and I see a lot of reasons why I think Julio would have won. It's up to you guys. Go cast your vote, man. That's the whole trick. You got to go cast your vote. London Ryan, I used to think was a good guy. Now he says, I don't know. I'm not an expert, so I don't know. London who? That's what I'm saying. Well, Carl Froch, the bum, the tomato can. No, I'm only kidding. It's his favorite fighter. In case you're new to the show, it's his favorite fighter. And most of us on the show get along fine, busting each other's chops. It's what makes it go around. Friday night, during the show, it's a good thing that count didn't. Good thing that pick of mine didn't count. But and in something that I thought, I don't know, man. Did you think it was an upset? I thought it was an upset that the Southpaw Japanese champion, the WBC bantamweight champion, Shinuki Yamanaka, improved to 16-0 with a couple of draws and 11 knockouts when he retained his WBC World Bantamweight title against Victor Chinian, who once again couldn't get a bantamweight title outside the IBO. Victor Chinian drops to 37 wins, 5 losses, and a draw. 27 of his wins come by knockout. And Yamanaka won the fight with jabs, basically. He did land a couple of fights. A couple of left hooks during the fight, but not until the second half. And there was also a cut involved. Once again, Victor Chinian sustained a cut. But the way the judges scored it was 116-112 twice and 117-111, all in favor of Yamanaka. So Victor Chinian, now according to our very own Dax Khan, who wrote an article, it's up on in his column, and the beginning of it, it's also on the front page of BillyCBoxing.com. He kind of thinks maybe this is the end of the road for Darchinian, and maybe Darchinian doesn't know when to say when. And that's my age-old question with all fighters, and it's not just fighters, it's athletes. High-level professional athletes today never know when to say when, because your body starts to fail before your mind, and you start to think, what you did wrong during your career and how you can remedy it and how you can be better, and you want that one more shot at glory. The problem is your body just starts to break down a little bit, and the best example of that outside of the boxing ring, in my opinion, is the greatest basketball player ever to lace on a pair of sneakers, and that's, of course, Michael Jordan. And he just couldn't let it go. He couldn't let it go. But also in that card, this WBC super featherweight champion, Takahiro Oi, improved to 23 wins, 2 losses, and a draw with 10 knockouts when he won a unanimous decision over Turzdak Koki Jim. Went the scores of 116-112 twice and 118-110 to give him that W. Oi's W. So it was on that card. Bird Cooper. Yes, that Bird Cooper, 46 years old. I thought he was older. I know Murphy was in the chat room when we were talking about this on Friday, and I think he said he was 40. I think Murph probably said he was 46. I thought he was over 50. But he was fighting, and he fought Chauncey Welliver And Welliver won a decision. That's right, a decision over Smokin' Bert Cooper. And it's a shame that he's even still fighting, but that's what happened there. Unbeaten light heavyweight Ugandan light heavyweight Joey Vegas improved to 13 wins, 6 losses, and a draw, so he's clearly not unbeaten. When he stopped Hanyi Atayo, he was the unbeaten fighter going into the fight, and the fight ended in the 11th round when Atayo got knocked out to drop to 12 wins and 1 loss. This was at the University of Egypt. Took place on Friday night. So, this was the card, if I recall correctly, that they were billing as Mike Tyson was going to be there and all of this stuff. And they went after the promoter of this event to say that was a total shim-sham scam lie to try and sell tickets, that Mike Tyson had no intentions of going to Egypt. But anyway, that's the fight finally took place, and I guess that was their big event, main event. Unbeaten lightweight Darley Perez improved to 25-0 when he stopped Elaine Hernandez in the second round of their fight. This one, 2 minutes and 59 seconds, took place in California. Elaine Hernandez drops to 18-10 with a couple of draws. Also on that card, Jose Reynoso improved to 16-3 with a draw with 3 knockouts when James Hope couldn't continue after the 7th round. James Hope drops to 6 wins, 10 losses, and a draw with 4 knockouts. What a wasted talent this kid is. I've seen James Hope, and apparently he doesn't put into it as much as he should, a la 10 losses. But this is a kid that, I hate to see these kinds of fighters that have all the talent, and either they don't have the brains, or they don't have the desire, or they have other substances that they're into that derails their career. And I think that's the case with James Hope. It's a shame because this kid really had some talent. It's a shame to see him drop to 6-10 because he's definitely going in the wrong direction. Also on that card, super bantamweight Jonathan Aureliano improved to 11-0 with a draw with 3 knockouts when his opponent Angel Cota couldn't continue after the 7th round as well. Cota drops to 8-7 with 6 knockouts. Some other fights that took place on Friday. Former 2008 Olympian Paul Two Guns Fleming. I couldn't see how they spelt it. Paul Two Guns Fleming remained unbeaten. He's now 14-0 with 10 knockouts when he won a 6-round decision over Hai Yong Kim, who is now at 500 at 4-4 with a knockout out of South Korea. Took place in Sydney, Australia, and Sydney. Fleming is got Cameron Duncan in his corner as a manager, and we all know Cameron Duncan's success. So we'll see what happens with him. And also Friday, there was another fight that took place. Remember Hozumi Hasewaga? He's now 30 wins, 4 losses, and 13 of his W's coming by knockout. He made a comeback. He had been out of the ring for 12 months, and he stopped Felipe Carlos Feliz, who was never beaten. He was unbeaten going into this fight, and Hasewaga stopped him at 2 minutes and 28 seconds of the 7th round to give him the victory to get to his 30th W and hand Feliz his first defeat of his career as he drops to 18-1. This fight took place in Tokyo, Japan. It was scheduled for 10 rounds, and that's as long as it went. Now, this was, remember, Johnny Gonzalez took over Hasewaga's title, his WBC bantamweight title, when he, his featherweight title, when he refused to fight him. We'll see what happens with that. But anyway, Hasewaga is looking to make a comeback here. So we'll see what happens. He's on the right track right now, and I'm stumbling all over the place today, huh? Saturday night we had a couple of fights. Edgar Socha, former WBC junior flyweight champ, defeated Wilbert Unicab, who was currently the WBC silver flyweight champ. So that makes Edgar Socha the WBC flyweight silver belt holder, which is a fancy word for interim title holder, and now he's in line to fight the champion. So we'll see what happens there. Edgar Socha improved to 45 wins, 7 losses, 27 of his W's come by knockout. And UCAB lost for the 7th time in his career, too. 33 wins, 7 losses, and a draw. The best part of this fight, I'm not saying the fight wasn't good because it was fairly even, but the best part in this fight was where it was located, in Cancun. Why don't I ever get to do fights in Cancun, man? I get stuck in Canada, I get out in the freezing cold, Chicago, I like Florida. I'm glad I go to Florida occasionally. But why don't I get to do broadcasting in Cancun, man? But anyway, 114-111 is the way all 3 judges scored it. So, also on that card, Humberto Soto. This is a guy that was a champion in not 1, not 2, but 3 divisions. If I told you, and you all know what divisions, they were all the smaller divisions, if I told you this guy weighed more than 150 pounds on Saturday night, would you believe me? I'm sure you would, because why would I lie to you, man? 151 pounds is what Humberto Soto weighed. It didn't stop him, though, because he won a 10-round decision over Claudini Lacerda, who lost for only the 3rd time in his career, as he drops to 14 wins, 3 losses, 10 knockouts. And Humberto Soto, well, he improved to 58 wins, 7 losses, and a couple of draws. Won a decision. All 3 judges had it 100-90. And finally, on that same card, super featherweight, ranked by the WBC, Dante Yarden improved to 20-2 with 18 knockouts when he stopped Bermain Sanchez in the 6th round. And he claimed some belt that they had. They're calling it a TKO because he got dropped a couple of times in the 2nd round and took a severe beating all the way up until the corner wouldn't let him out when the 6th round began. So that's why Yarden got the 6th round knockout. So that takes care of that card from Cancun. Now, we had a couple more fights I want to talk about, including the big nail-biter heavyweight battle between James Toney and Bobby Gunn. What happened in that one? I know you're dying to know, but you're going to have to wait about 2 minutes, because when I come back, I'll tell you all about that one.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Hit Joe Lewis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. He's Billy C, and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C. radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have the Fight Now TV channel, why? You got to call your local television provider and tell them that you want it right now. It's that simple, man. And don't forget, every night is Fight Night on Fight Now, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. You can check out a new fight. Visit their website for all the information, www.fightnow.com. We're talking about the fights that took place on Saturday, and we're up to Ronnie Rios. You know, Ronnie Rios is a fighter that a lot of people are talking about, and you know, when I broke it down, I thought this might have been a better fight. You know, I got to see his opponent live a couple of times, Guillermo Sanchez, but apparently it didn't go as tough as I would have thought. Ronnie Rios dominated this fight. I mean, it was just not even a close fight. At this point, the only thing I'm surprised at is that Ronnie Rios didn't put away Guillermo Sanchez. He destroyed him for every minute of every round. 80-72 twice, and 79-73 was the way all three judges scored it. And Sanchez, his record now is 13 wins, 6 losses, and a draw. And Ronnie Rios, well, he improves to 18-0 with 8 knockouts. So I guess Ronnie Rios is the real deal, huh? I got to be honest, I was a little apprehensive about him. And then in the big fight that everybody's been just dying, I've gotten 1,000 emails. Who won? What do you think? Right, sure. I didn't get any emails because no one gave a rat's ass about this fight. But nonetheless, it took place. James Lights Out Tony, all 43 years of him. And I got to be honest with you. James Toney is younger than I thought. I thought that he was definitely at least 46. And to find out he was just a young buck at 43 makes me a little surprised. But nonetheless, James Lights Out Tony won the fight against Bobby Gunn. It wasn't. The thing that bothered me was the way it ended, because Bobby Gunn didn't come out after the 5th round. His reasoning was that he claims he broke his hand in the 4th round, gave it his all in the 5th, and at the end of the 5th stayed on his stool. Here's the thing. This is a guy that fights bare knuckles, man. So you're telling me that he fights bare knuckle fights, and he tells everybody, how you pinpoint and locate your punch so perfectly so you don't bust up your hands. And he was all bragging about how tough his hands were, how strong his hands were, how pinpoint accurate he was. And he breaks his hand in a 10-ounce glove against James Toney, enough that he can't continue. I thought maybe it had something to do with the fact that James Toney was bashing him all night long with his jab and following it up with some right hands and everything else. So, I don't know. I don't know, man. But or left hands he was nailing him with. But he had some good right hands and left hands. He was throwing multiple punch combinations. And his right hand was the one that many ringsiders believe did the most damage to Bobby Gunn. Now, Bobby Gunn did land a couple of shots, apparently. He landed some of his patented left hooks, but not enough to do any damage to the... Talk about an iron jaw, right? Talk about a granite chin. James Toney, I mean, you got to give him credit. But did you check out the weight? He weighed like 250 pounds, right? 248 pounds is what he weighed in at. And Bobby Gunn weighed 210. Now, that's another issue you got to keep in mind. Now, you guys know I'm friends with Bobby Gunn, so I am being a little partial for him. But, I mean, this guy's a cruiserweight, and he was not even world-level cruiserweight at that. In my opinion, he's not world ranked. So, I wouldn't consider him a world class because, like we were talking about last week, if you're ranked in the top 10 of the world by someone, you're world class, right? Maybe not by us old guys. Our definition, when we think of world class, we think of, the upper echelon fighters. But there's a new word for that now, and it's called elite. So and he's definitely not an elite fighter anymore. But he was. I'm talking about Bobby Gunn was never really even in the top 10. I think he should stick with the bare knuckle fight, and I think he found a little niche there. But James Toney, you know what this means? We're going to be seeing James Toney in another fight soon, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. A couple other fights that took place on Saturday, and one of them was took place in Denmark. I happen to love Denmark. It was really nice, especially all the ladies there. But there was a couple of fights that took place in Denmark on Saturday as well. And Kim Puslan and Casper Brun, both of these fighters were with Sauerland events at one time, no mo. Puslan stopped Bika Sajada in the second round to improve to 20-1 with 6 knockouts. And Casper Brun won a 8-round decision over Nugzar Blanki, 13-0 now, and Blanki Flunky couldn't get up. Yeah, it was the knockout win. So we'll see what happens there. I can't even. Listen, between the first and last name, there is, let's see, there's a couple of Z's, there's a V, there's a S, I feel like it's, what's that show with the words, whatever, but, man, can't they just nickname these guys like Joe Smith or something? Come on, man. How about Andy Coley? Andy Chaos Coley. When did that come in? Come on, all you brainiacs, all you fanboys out there in the chat room. What's up with that? When did Andy Coley become chaos? I don't ever remember him. Did I miss something here, guys? Did I miss something? Was he always called Chaos? But anyway, Murphy saying that James Toney fought an old time schedule. He did with the fights. He's one of the only guys that are active today with over 70 fights. But he's never. See, Murphy agrees with me, man. He's never been called Chaos. I don't know why I'm saying Chaos. It's never. That's his new nickname, but nonetheless, he improved to 25 wins, 3 losses, 18 come by knockout when he won a decision over Michael the Midnight Stalker Walker, who drops to 19-3 with 3 draws, and 12 of his wins come by knockout. And Midnight Stalker should get more sleep because this guy hasn't won a fight in years. I can't remember the last time he won a fight, to be honest with you. At one time, wasn't he a prospect, a pretty good prospect? His goal now is to get to 500. He should stop now while he's 6 fights above 500. Anyway, Andy Coley is going to probably get another shot somewhere along the line. In a fight that was the main event of what was being at least defined by my man Dave Spencer in Canada, was just a boring night of fights, and didn't help any with the main event. And Ali Nesta Charles finally got some people to wake up when he knocked out his opponent at the end of the 8th round. It was scheduled for 10, but leading up to that point, Martin Ivela and Ali Nesta Charles were just, helping lull the fans to sleep. But they came back and won. Nesta Charles won by knockout. He improves to 13 wins, 5 losses, and a couple of draws. And Martin Ivela drops to 13-9. Speaking of my friend Dave Spencer, he told me that former Canadian middleweight champ Vlad Schmichet is going to be coming back to the ring. Now, this is a guy that made his pro debut in 2002 and hung up the gloves in 2010. Here's the thing: this guy, for the most part, fought at middleweight and went up as high as super middle and light heavy. And here's the thing: he's coming back, but this time he's coming back as a junior middleweight. So a lot of people think that him at junior middleweight is going to be a much better fit for his style, which is a come-at-you brawling kind of style. And they feel that if he could sustain the 154-pound limit, then he may become a force in that division, in the junior middleweight division. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with Schmichet. But when we get my man Johnny Robbins back on the show, he will give us an update on him. Speaking of updates, did you hear that Antonio Margarito there's rumor that he's going to be coming back, man. I thought it was over for him. They're talking about him fighting not one but two more fights. How about once in June and once in September? And the one in June may not even be in June. It may be in May. So they're talking about two fights, maybe the end of May and then September. Here's the thing. I started thinking about that. I started thinking about Antonio Margarito, and is there interest in this guy? And has he really become that black cowboy hat, the bad guy of boxing? And I started looking at his record, and I know that we've mentioned him as being the guy that Floyd Mayweather Jr. avoided at the time, and even some of the diehard fans admit that he didn't want any part of Margarito. And when you go back and you look at this guy's career, you could see why. Now, right now he's 34 years old. We all know he's former world welterweight champion. He did challenge for the junior middleweight title, actually twice. Once against Manny Pacquiao, and once recently against Miguel Cotto. He has a career record of 38 wins, 27 coming by knockout. And he's got 8 losses, and he was only stopped 2 times. And of those 2 losses, of the 2 stoppages, I should say, they came within his last 4 fights. One at the hands of Miguel Cotto, and the other at the hands, of course, of Manny Pacquiao. At the hands of Shane Mosley. Now, when you look at this guy, the first 12 fights of his pro career, after his 12th fight, he was sitting on a record of 9 wins and 3 losses. And, when you start to dissect all of the fights that he was in, even from the beginning of his career, right on up through his last fight, which was in December of last year, this guy fought. I usually save this for all of the people that we do in the Blast for the Past. And I got to say it. He fought everybody, man. He fought everybody. Now, let me just start off by saying this. I can't stand cheaters. Can't stand them. And, it appeared that this guy was busted cheating. I mean, there's no question. They attempted to cheat anyway against Shane Mosley. That we know for sure. And the speculation that he had been cheating up to that point is definitely been thrown out there. But we don't know this for sure. We really don't. And when I look at this guy's record and I start to see the names on it, in 2000 he fights Frankie Randall, beats Frankie Randall. He fights Antonio Diaz, Danny Perez, Andrew Sixheads Lewis, Hercules Carvelos. Remember him? This was a guy that people thought was unbeatable. He fought 2 fights with Daniel Santos. One was a no contest and one he lost. He also fought Kermit Cintron a couple of times, Joshua Clottey. Paul Williams, he lost a 12-round decision to Golden Johnson, Kermit Cintron, like I mentioned, Miguel Cotto a couple of times, Robert Garcia, Sugar Shane Mosley, he lost to, and of course Manny Pacquiao he lost to. Now, when you start looking at this and you start breaking down the fights, you can almost see, to me, the rumor look what he did to Kermit Cintron. He destroyed Kermit Cintron twice. He had to have loaded gloves then, right? Well, I'm not so sure because, he ended up going the distance with Joshua Clottey, and he lost the fight to Paul Williams. So if he was loading his gloves all that time, then why didn't they come and help him? Why didn't those loaded gloves help him against Paul Williams and Joshua Clottey? Now, he beat Joshua Clottey, but he didn't knock him out. All these other fights that people claim that he had loaded gloves, he was knocking people out. But if I look at this guy's resume and I make the assumption, which is not true, this is just a guess, I think that he may have decided to start loading gloves, or his trainer or whoever, after the Paul Williams fight. Because if you look at the 3 fights leading up until the Shane Mosley fight, it was a first-round annihilation of Golden Johnson. Now, Golden Johnson was at the twilight of his career, but still a very good fighter. Destroys him in 1. Battered Kermit Cintron in their second fight. Now, he knocked him out in the first time, in the 5th, but the second fight, he battered him and finally destroyed him in 6. I mean, Kermit Cintron didn't look like himself after that fight. We all know what happened to Miguel Cotto in 2008. I mean, that was just a vicious beating. And, he gets busted in 2009 against Shane Mosley and ultimately goes out and gets knocked out in the 9th round. Now, he was banned. Remember, he was banned for life. Then he was banned for a year. And then he was allowed to fight. He ended up only serving 1 year and 4 months, 16 months after his illegal hand wraps were discovered. He came back and he fought Roberto Garcia, won a 10-round decision, got totally beaten the snot out of against Manny Pacquiao in 2010, and then he couldn't continue because of the ringside doctors in the 10th round in his most recent fight of December of last year. What does all this mean? How good do you think he is, man? Do you think that this is a guy that I hate to ask this question, but will Antonio Margarito ever get into the Hall of Fame, you think? Do you think this is a guy that we have determined as being, just a bad black eye, another black eye for the sport, and that's it? That's it for him? It's bye-bye Antonio? Or is he going to come back and fight a couple of more times and work his way into another world championship opportunity? He's 34 years old. It looks to me like his eyes are shot. I think that the New York State Athletic Commission, I would never ask them this because I know it's got to be a touchy subject, but how did they pass this guy? Obviously they had recommendations from all kinds of doctors and everything else, but their own guy wasn't too keen on passing him. I don't want to say that Bob Arum had an influence on it because, I don't want, I know he's the devil of boxing to most people except for one that I know of. I won't mention his name, but his initials are Tony Treem. But, I mean, the thing is this. Do you think that Antonio Margarito will get another shot here? Do you think that this guy, got caught and he did load his gloves for those 3 fights? I mean, this is just my opinion, what I see when I read between the lines. Was it really his fault? Was it the trainer's fault? They banned the trainer for life and all this stuff. We love to see warriors. There's nobody. I mean, every boxing fan loves to see a guy get up. Why do we love Arturo Gatti so much? It wasn't because of his flashy skill. And here you take a guy like Floyd Mayweather who has flashy skill, and we're split down the middle. Some people love him. Most people hate him. Why? Not because he's an exceptionally good fighter talent-wise, but because he doesn't fight like that. He doesn't get up off the canvas. He doesn't swell up. He doesn't bleed. And I know all the Floyd Mayweather fans will say, well, that's because he's so good that nobody can hit him, and whatever. You can argue that point or not. That's not my point. My point is that us boxing fans, we as boxing fans, love the fighters that get up off the canvas and come back, or they seem to be on the brink of losing the fight and they come back with a win. Or even if in a losing effort, if they show us that they have heart and determination. I mean, how many people were just shaking their head at the TV when Manny Pacquiao was just totally disfiguring Antonio Margarito, and you almost, as much as we all wanted to see it, because we wanted, some kind of payback for this guy who was being dragged and thrown in front of us as the cheater, the guy who put cement in his gloves. He deserves this beating. I mean, even his most, his worst enemy, even the guy that hates him the most, had to be feeling a little sorry for him in that fight. I mean, he was disfigured, for God's sakes. And then you follow that up against Miguel Cotto, and it was the same thing. I mean, the only guy that wasn't feeling too sorry for him that night was Miguel. Miguel Cotto was a class act throughout that whole issue, that whole incident with the loaded gloves and everything. But I ask you, with all of that said, we haven't seen Antonio Margarito since that fight against Miguel Cotto, and I ask you this: is this guy going to be coming back? Would you want to see him? And how good do you think he can be? Is he damaged goods? To me, his eye, obviously, after the fight with Manny Pacquiao, he had the surgeries, he had all this stuff. Some doctors say it's okay. We saw what happened to him against Cotto. Cotto is no Manny Pacquiao in terms of, volume of punches and angles and everything else, but he landed a lot. Once you can't see those punches coming, you're going to land more. Where's Antonio Margarito go, man? You think he's going to continue with his career, or what? Do you want to see him? That's my question. Do you want to see him, or is this guy is he over? Should it be over? I can't help but remember when he was in his heyday, when he won, going into that fight, the fight before. Going into the Shane Mosley fight, so prior to the Sugar Shane Mosley fight, this guy was just, we saw him all over the place. He had the big glasses, he was with his wife, he has a pretty wife, and they were smiling and everything. This guy finally got to the point where he wanted to be. He was getting the recognition, he was a feared fighter. It was his win over Miguel Cotto. Everybody just put this guy on a pedestal, and he was unbeatable. As a matter of fact, that's what we all thought. As a matter of fact, people thought Shane Mosley shouldn't have ever gotten in the ring with this guy. And then everything unraveled for Antonio Margarito. Everything unraveled. He gets caught with some kind of cement apparatus in his gloves. Everybody starts assuming that this guy's been loading his gloves forever. He gets in there, he gets suspended, he comes back, he gets a layup win against Roberto Garcia. Not that Roberto Garcia should be taken lightly, but, for Antonio Margarito, he won a 10-round decision. Didn't look fantastic in it, but won. That fight took place in Mexico. Technically, he fought that fight when he wasn't okayed yet here in the States, but when he fought in Texas, in 2010, in November 2010, against the Pac-Man, he had gotten his license reinstated in the U.S., at least in Texas, and took that beating. Now I say, what's the deal now? Should he fight some more, or what? Anyway, you let me know. Drop me an email. Victor Ortiz and Andre Berto. And I had gotten an email from somebody saying my head was up my arse. Because I didn't even know. And I went back. It bothered me because I'm saying to myself, geez, usually I'm pretty good with that stuff. And I went back and checked, and I definitely said that this fight was rescheduled. I had somebody ask me a question in the chat room, isn't that fight coming up soon? And I had forgotten. I knew it was rescheduled. I knew that that Berto had torn his bicep. I just lost track of the dates. Well, I guess it was all for naught because the date is changed again. It was originally scheduled for April. It was put off several weeks prior to that because of the bicep injury that Berto suffered in his training camp. And it was scheduled to take place on June 30th. And it looked like it was going to be taking place in Vegas. But actually, the fight was originally scheduled in February. Then it was rescheduled for June 30th, and now it was announced over the weekend that the fight was moved back 1 week to June 23rd, And now it's going to be taking place in Los Angeles, California, at the Staples Center. Here's the problem, though. The question is there's a lot of fights scheduled, around that time. You got Manny Pacquiao's fighting that month. The month before that, you got, of course, Floyd Mayweather's fighting. And people are starting to wonder, did this injury, when I say people, boxing people, are starting to wonder, did the injury that Berto suffered, did this take some of that demand and some of the luster out of Victor Ortiz, Andre Berto, too? And, I gotta tell you, I think it did. I think it might have. After Victor Ortiz lost to Floyd Mayweather, I mean, the Berto rematch was the fight. We all wanted to see it. Berto was never beaten before. And here's this guy, Ortiz, who I know I speak for myself when I say we got this love-hate relationship for him. Sometimes I like him, sometimes I hate him. But he's a good kid. I mean, he seems like a nice kid. But I was kind of curious to see how he would fare against Berto. Plus, I wanted to see how Berto came back from a loss. I think that Berto's problem, aside from the most strange stance I've ever seen, I don't know how he can deliver a punch like that with his legs so wide apart. But I think Berto's biggest weakness, aside from that, is his corner. And I don't mean his trainer. I know he's got a new trainer. I'm talking about all the rest of the people in his corner, the father, the brother, the cousin, the brunkle, the nephew, everybody's in there yelling at him, and it's like, talk about chaos. It's not Andy Chaos Coley. I'm talking about chaos in Andre Berto's corner during a fight. I mean, people, question the ability of a guy like Freddie Roach, but the one thing I love about Freddie Roach is that Freddie Roach, he's so calm and cool in the corner. Everyone else is, too. He speaks with that low, monotone voice, and his fighters, they strain to listen to what he's saying. And I think that it hits home. Because he's speaking and he only says a couple of things, the fighter's listening to him. When you're in a corner, and I'll tell you right now, when you're in a corner and you got a trainer that's yelling at you right in front of your face, nose to nose, and then, by the way, you got your father and your brunkle and your brother and your cousin and your sister and everybody else is all around you in your ears, behind your head, from the first row. They're all yelling at you, yelling instructions, telling you to do this, do that. When that bell rings, what did you just remember? Nothing. You're trying to remember if you had a drink of water or not. You're trying to remember what round number it was. You don't retain one thing. And I think that was Andre Berto's biggest weakness, and it didn't just happen in the Ortiz fight. We saw that going on for several fights now. Since he was the champion, and since he got to a certain point, his entourage got bigger. It's mostly his family, which hey, I applaud him for being close with his family. I think that's great. But I think it hurts him as a prize fighter. So we'll have to wait and see. The fight is going to be taking place on June 23rd in Los Angeles, California. So we'll wait to hear about that one. And one other thing we're going to wait to hear about is what I got to say about another delay, which is going to be taking place for a fight that was supposed to be scheduled for April. And now this one is going to be pushed back a little bit, but that's going to have to wait for about 2 minutes because I got to take a break. And when I come back, I'll be talking about that fight and a new heavyweight that's on the scene. He's not that new if you come from the land down under, but I'm curious to see what you think. I mean, could this possibly be a guy that we should be keeping an eye on? He's certainly big enough, but is he good enough?
The 2012 Summer Olympic Games unfold in 5 months in London. The honor and the history of playing host goes back a long way. How long? That's next on Sports Shorts with me, the Sports Princess.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Legend has it that the Olympics go back to Hercules, but let's leave Greek mythology out of it. The modern games opened in 1896. Since Athens couldn't afford to put them on, a businessman ponied up the coin. Pole vaulting, weightlifting, shot put, and swimming, few of the handful of events. Since those days, some of the original sports remain. Others come and go, depending on the whims of the International Olympic Committee. Australia, France, Germany, and China have hosted summer games, and this will be the third time for London. As for the Winter Games, the U.S. has hosted them 4 times since they started in 1924 in France, featuring sports like alpine cross-country skiing, figure skating, and such. Between the Summer and the Winter Games, there are hundreds of sports and thousands of athletes. You never know what city is going to get a crack at hosting next. I'm the Sports Princess with Sports Shorts.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
Mike Tyson looked like he put on some pounds. He was fat. He went into McDonald's and he just said to them, hey, give me 6 of everything on the menu. He put on 2 watches and covered 2 time zones. I'm talking fat here. Got on a scale the other day and it said, come on, one of you guys got to get off. Last thing I heard is that he jumped into the ocean and he left a ring around the continent. He's fat.
Boxing with Billy C.
Now back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young. And he's got martinis. So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C. Talking Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C. radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Every night is Fight Night on Fight Now. That's right, man. 10 p.m. Eastern Time. There's a new fight. It's being shown on the Fight Now channel. That's why you need to get it. All the information about the channel and what's going to be on tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Go visit their website and find out. www.fightnow.com. Just before we went to break, we were talking about the Ortiz-Berto fight and the torn bicep and everything else, and talking with the guys in the chat room. And, I said I thought that, Berto's injury may have ruined it for his career, and I'm talking about his bicep. And Murphy says, I heard that he tore it up really bad. And, I started remembering about hamstrings. Now, here in the States, we hear about hamstring pulls a lot in professional sports, mostly in football, American football, and in baseball. And, these guys, these athletes, they rip up a hamstring, they're out for a week or so, then they're back in and they're running around the bases, or they're running across the football field like they never got injured. And, people might downplay what the severity of like, say, a hamstring injury is. Well, I know how bad a hamstring injury can be. I suffered one once, and, I was already an adult, older. I was in my 30s, and I had a football team. I had it was a league that we were in, and I was showing the running back how I wanted this play to go, and I wasn't running. I was just like kind of jogging to show the pattern for this. It was a swing pass to a running back, and the quarterback had to do some ball fakes and then dump this off to the running back, and that was how I designed the play. And I was trying to show them during practice on the field. So I was running maybe 25%. I was running maybe 25% of full speed, which for me was almost running backwards. But so like I'm like jogging, and I said I want you to cut like this, and all of a sudden I ripped my hamstring. Now, nothing like a professional who's ripping it as they're running 100 miles an hour for 60 yards into a 100-yard run. this was ripped, like I said, 10 feet away from where I started, 20 feet away. And the pain that I went through, all right, first of all, I felt the meat, basically, that hamstring, separate from my bone in the back of my leg. I felt it. I couldn't walk on that leg. And to this day, it was almost 20 years ago, to this day, if I run around outside or something like that, the one thing that would save me from having a heart attack, because normally if I did try to run outside, I'd probably drop dead of a heart attack because I'm a fat bastard. But the thing is this, that hamstring prevents me from having a heart attack, because if I start to run a little bit, all of a sudden it gets really sore, really sore. Now, I wasn't able to do any kind of running or walking fast or anything for months. Now, that's me, a non-athletic guy, how long it heals. You take these athletes who have muscle upon muscle upon muscle. Obviously, the recuperation is much quicker, but then you got to sprinkle in the fact that these professional teams are shooting them up with cortisone so they don't feel the pain that they're definitely getting, all right? Now I ask you this. That's a hamstring. That's your leg. Well, the bicep is similar. A bicep is the muscle wrapped around your arm and everything else on the top part of your muscle. Top part of your arm. And you got a guy like Andre Berto tears that. And like Murph says, it was a serious tear. Even if it heals, even if they shoot this guy up with cortisone every single fight now, this bicep is not going to be the same. And I really have to wonder, did it ruin his career? Let me tell you something, David Allen. I bet you I could beat you in a race, okay? He's telling me, you can't run, you fat, you know what? Come on, man. I bet you I could beat you. I bet you I could beat you in a race. Maybe. Even with a scotch in me, I can. But anyway, I'm just curious to know if Andre Berto can really recover from this. I think that we have a tendency to think it's not serious. The way they downplayed it in the press and the way they're talking about it now. The way they're saying, oh, well, we moved it up a week. So, it gives you the illusion, oh, well, you know what, it's healed. I don't think that kind of an injury ever heals. I really don't. From my own experience, like I'm telling you with the hamstring, it never healed. No, I'm not an athlete. Andre Berto's in great shape. But he does lift a lot of weights, doesn't he? So how good is it? David Allen says the only way you're going to beat me in a race is if it's to the bar. Yeah, you might have a point there, but I've seen you at the bar. And I'll tell you, the only way Dave Allen's going to beat me in a race is running away from the bar when he sees me coming up to it because he was supposed to buy me a drink. Then he runs away. And then, you're right, David Allen. You run faster than anybody. When it's your turn to buy a drink, you run fast. You're the That's right, he is. He was his Flash, man. They called him the English Flash. You think the Filipino Flash? No. When David Allen has to buy the next round, he runs out of there. You just see the flash. Whatever color he's got on, if he's wearing red, you just see this flash of red. What happened? Wait a minute. Wait, this guy was supposed to pay for... Oh, he's gone. He's already back in England. But anyway, we're talking about fights being delayed. Well, how about the fight that was scheduled to take place on April 28th between Ivan Calderon and the guy who beat him for his champ, Moses Fuentes, who's only got 15 fights under his belt. He's 14-1 with 6 knockouts. And Ivan Calderon wants his shot at that, but guess what? He's going to have to wait now until the end of May, at the least the end of May. Apparently, where this was scheduled to happen in Puerto Rico, they didn't have a venue. This is a similar story. I've heard that same story out of Florida recently. A guy books a couple of dates and turns out doesn't even have any venues for those dates. So, but this particular promoter in Puerto Rico is actually PR's Best. They call it PR's Best. Is the promotional company, and they've been around a long time, so their experience, I can't be shocked when I hear something, which we would call a silly mistake by a rookie promoter, because, hey, we learn from our mistakes, but PR Best Boxing has been around a long time, and to book a fight without a venue seems a little strange to me. So the bottom line is this is going to be going into May now, so we'll keep you posted until that date gets officially announced, because it has not been officially announced. All we know is that it's going to be sometime in May. But there was one other thing I wanted to ask you, one thing I wanted to mention to you about Ivan Calderon. Now, he had moved up in weight, right? And I guess he's trying to get back down in weight and everything else. But here's the thing. He says he's going to be training now until May, and he is going to be purposely keeping on 10 or 12 pounds above his weight limit. And he feels that that's good because, he was leaving the gym recently at about 112 pounds, which is only 7 pounds above the 105-pound limit. And now he says he's going to be leaving that gym between 115 and 117 at the end of his workout. How does that fare for a fighter who moved up in weight and tried to work at a heavier weight and then blamed the fact that he was heavier and wanted to come back down in weight? And considering that he's getting older and stuff, I don't know, man. Something sounds a little strange to me there. But then again, I'm not sure. But anyway, these guys in the chat room, for the most part, they're a good group of guys. For the most part, I won't mention any names who's not, but believe me, there's some. But he's not in there now. So, all right, there's a new heavyweight around, and he's not that new. He's 32 years old, but he busted onto the scene in 2009. Had only one fight in 2009, only one fight in 2010. But in 2011, he had like 8 fights, and which brings us to this year, 2012. He's already fought once. I guess you're looking for a name, right? His name is Lucas Brown, and he's currently the Australian heavyweight champion. And he's 11-0 right now with 10 knockouts. He's a pretty big boy, man. He's 6'4", so that's Chris Ariola's size. But this guy weighs in, for his career so far, he's weighed between 260 and 270 pounds. Now, he was a little over 270 once, and he has been a little under 260. But for the most part, he averages 260 to 270. Now, he's not a fat roly-poly. He's a muscle-bound guy. He's got, let's just say he's got some tattoos on him. I think there might be one piece of skin left that he's not tatted up on. But I ask you, you look at this guy, and, like we've seen, I forget his name, Larian Luambe or something. He's from England. David Allen will help me on this one. They call him the War Machine. This guy has a physique that just would scare you just looking at him. But when you punch him in his chin, it shatters like like glass, and he goes down, and that's been his weakness, Now I've never seen Lucas Brown fight. I've seen some pictures of him, and that's what sparked my interest. Big boy, doesn't look like he's got much fat on him, but he does look like he's got a lot of muscle, and he's at 6'4", 32 years old. Could this be a guy that could become a guy big enough to dethrone a Klitschko, or better yet, after the Klitschkos, could this be a guy that may be in the driver's seat in the heavyweight division? I started looking at his level of opposition, which is pretty questionable. However, in 2011, his busiest year so far, in May of 2011, now he started out 2011, he fought twice in April, once in February, once in May, once in August, once in September, once in November, and once in December. So he's pretty busy for the 2011. And his second fight of, his third fight of 2011. Actually, guess what? I forgot the February one. So it's his fourth fight in 2011. Was against a guy that is actually a pretty decent fighter, and considering that. It was only his 6th professional fight. He stepped in there with Scott Belshaw. Now, Scott Belshaw, you remember that name from England. This is a guy that went into this fight against Lucas Brown in May of 2011 with a 10-4 record. And he destroyed Scott Belshaw, knocked him out in 2 rounds. He also, in his last fight, which was this year in February in Australia, he's never fought outside of Australia, he went in there with Colin Wilson. Now, Colin Wilson, he's no world beater. He's no top-ranked fighter or anything like that, but he's an experienced fighter. He's got a record of 35 wins, 28 losses, and a draw. And again, Lucas Brown destroys this guy. Knocks him out in 3. You know, the rest of his resume is filled with marginal opposition. 4-9 fighter, 4-1, 8-3, a couple of pro debuts, an 8-1 fighter in his second fight. All unknown fighters. But there's one guy that he didn't knock out. He's 11-0 with 10 knockouts. One guy he did not knock out was journeyman Clarence Tillman. Now, Clarence Tillman fought this guy and went 12 rounds with him. 12 rounds, and Lucas Brown couldn't stop him. So now I bring up the question. How good is Lucas Brown? Does Lucas Brown have a shot? Does Lucas Brown, and I say have a shot, I'm not putting him in any kind of championship fight right now. I'm talking about, does he have a shot in a couple of years? You know, he's 32 right now. Let's say 2 more years he fights and progressively increases the level of opposition. Maybe learns to maybe take off some of that muscle. You know, maybe he's got too much weight. You know, it looks like he might have did a little time, the way his body is built. Typically, guys that do a couple extra years of college have that physique from pumping weights in the yard. That's what he looks like to me. But and I could be totally wrong. I don't know much about him, and I'm looking for our Australian audience to tell me about this guy and to tell me what you think. Does he have a legitimate chance? Is this guy going to be around in a couple of years? Is he just a big, muscular guy that they're building up? They're going to get him to 20-0, so to speak, and toss him in with somebody good and have him get the snot beat out of him. Now, didn't we just see Kevin Johnson? Didn't he go to Australia? Wasn't it Australia that he beat a guy down there that was supposed to be up and coming? So you never know. You never know. So keep an eye on Lucas Brown. Let me know what you think. This might even be a fighter that we put in under our hot prospects. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make a note of that. Hot prospects. It would be nice to have something written up about this guy. So anyway, hey, the other thing is, we talked about this a little bit last week, but Lucien Boutte and the Carl Froch fight, which I'm still shocked that the American television didn't really pick it up. Well, and I say American television meaning HBO, Showtime. Well, we told you last week that Epic picked it up. They're going to be showing it. And, I started thinking about this fight. And, the more and more we were talking about Andre Ward last week and, all this stuff. These two guys, I mean, when I look at our rankings, now I'm looking at our current rankings right now. And, actually, they're going to be updated tomorrow. But the rankings as of last week, I look at the super middleweight division, and, I can't help but, and the way we have it is we have Andre Ward number 1, Lucien Boutte number 2, Carl Froch at number 3. So theoretically, I think the winner of this fight, if it's Lucien Boutte, if Lucien Boutte beats Carl Froch, I think Lucien Boutte becomes the number 1 ranked super middleweight, at least in our rankings, because he would have had a similar victory over Andre Ward's. Andre Ward beat Lucien Boutte. Beat Carl Froch, so they would both have it. Now, people could argue with me and look at the overall level of competition that Andre Ward had, and because of the Super 6 tournament, he's got much tougher competition level than Lucien Boutte. But based on activity, I think my recommendation, if Lucien Boutte gets by Carl Froch, would be that Boutte moves into the number 1 spot, at least until Andre Ward fights again. But my question is what if Carl Froch wins? Where do you put Carl Froch? If currently you got Andre Ward number 1, Lucien Boutte number 2, Carl Froch number 3, does a win over Carl Froch just flip-flop those two? Or does Lucien Boutte drop down further? Is Carl Froch too high now? Do you think our rankings have him too high? No. But then when you look at the rest of the rankings, because I think that those three, listen, hands down, Lucien Boutte, Carl Froch, and Andre Ward are the top 3 super middleweights on the planet. What about the rest of the division? You got Miguel Kessler. You know, I think he's grossly overrated. I really do. I do. You got Robert Stiglitz. You know, he's at number 5. Right now we got Arthur Abraham at number 6. He flip-flopped with Glenn Johnson because of his last Stay Busy win. Glenn Johnson hasn't fought since November of last year, but those two could flip-flop at any time. Seiko Bika, I don't know why this guy still hangs around. And quite honestly, but Murphy, I know he's fine for number 3 right now, and that's right. Alex Lepai was Kevin Johnson, and I'm wondering why Alex Lepai doesn't fight this Brown. But what I'm saying, about Carl Froch is, he's fine for number 3 now, but he wins. Kessler is talking about fighting at light heavyweight. However, I don't move anybody in the rankings until the fight actually happens. I am appalled at the ring ratings for doing just that. They made some moves recently based on fights that did not take place yet. They did not. They're rating fighters in divisions of fights that did not take place yet, and that is ridiculous because we all know how quickly fights fall apart, how fights get rescheduled, they get canceled, they get this, they get that. You know, so how do you put a guy in a ranking? How do you rank a fighter that hasn't fought in that division yet? You know, how do you rank a fighter? They recently moved Floyd Mayweather above Manny Pacquiao, and you know, if you're just going to rate them on what you think is the better fighter, we could argue about every ranking. All right, so at some point in time, it becomes, which I like to follow, and this was the ring's rules: the guy who beat the guy who beat the guy, the level of opposition, you know, the frequency of fights. Those are the main 3 criteria of rankings. So with that said, how does Floyd Mayweather get moved above Manny Pacquiao when neither one of them have fought? Well, the last fight was Manny Pacquiao. He was the one that fought last. So Floyd hasn't even fought. He's scheduled to fight in a month. That justifies him moving up? Listen, this isn't about who's the better fighter. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't move Floyd up to the number 1 spot as soon as he fights in May. If he gets by Miguel Cotto, guess what? He's not even going to be in the welterweight division anymore. You're going to have to rate him in the junior middleweight division. That's a junior middleweight fight, remember? So how the hell can Ring Magazine rank him higher without fighting a fight? And the only way you can answer that question, and the only way that it's possible, is if Manny Pacquiao fought a fight and lost. He fought a questionable fight against Juan Manuel Marquez, and, you know, if you're going to move him down for that, how can you when on the record books he got a W? Same thing happened with Bernard Hopkins. You know, he gets the loss, and they moved Chad Dawson above him. But when they redid that and changed the result, they flip-flopped it and moved it back. You had to. You had to. And in this case, it's the same thing. Let Floyd fight Miguel Cotto, and then you move him up. As far as pound-for-pound rankings, same thing. But back to the super middleweight. Why? I don't get our own panel. Our own panel. How the hell do we still have Seiko Bika in there? I mean, this is a guy that really has not won a major fight, and I can't remember when. His last fight was in December of last year against Alfredo Contreras. That was a stay busy fight. He's not scheduled to fight again until the middle of May against Henry Sugar Boo Buchanan. You know, and I don't even know if that fight's still on. We have some young blood in the super middleweight division. Thomas Usenthusen, Edwin Rodriguez, Georgie Groves, Dimitri Sarderson, Anthony Durrell, Brian McGee, Adonis Stevenson. Adonis Stevenson is exciting to watch. Georgie Groves is still an unproven commodity. You know, we're going to have some movement, man. But it all boils down to those 2 fighters, Carl Froch and Lucien Boutte, and of course Andre Ward. As far as Miguel Kessler is concerned, I don't know. Tony T is asking us in the chat room, how do you rate Floyd Mayweather number 1 as pound for pound? I don't have him as number 1 pound for pound right now. I can't. And Murphy, that's exactly what I'm talking about, brother. They got Gamboa rated at lightweight. He hasn't even fought at lightweight. That's 2 weight divisions above his last fight. How do you do that? Because he says he's going to fight at lightweight, and we don't even know that. The fight he was supposed to fight at lightweight was against Rios. So come on, man. You can't rate a fighter at a division that they're going to fight in. And that's a perfect example. I'm glad he brought this up. No, you're right, Tony. Tony's saying check your list. You got him. Yeah, Billy C. Boxing has him number 1 because we're part of a ratings panel, and hopefully you'll get involved with that ratings panel. But and I'm just one person that's involved in the panel. I personally don't have him at number 1, but our panel does. So you're right. I don't think he should be at number 1 right now. But, only because of infrequency. He's only fought once in 18 months, But the thing is this. I just can't see how you can rank a fighter in a division that they have not fought yet. It's just ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous. It's impossible to do that. And I've gotten several emails recently about Ring Magazine, and I keep a lot of stuff quiet because of respect for the Ring and, of course, Joe Santoliquito. But, listen, it's painfully obvious to me that the Ring Magazine now, so Tony says your name's on it, so you got him number 1. It's just a brand, all right? It's not me. This whole Billy C thing is made up of a lot of people, not just me. Trust me. If it was just me, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be able to pull it off without all you guys. But the bottom line is this: you can't rate a fighter unless he's fought in that division. You just can't. You can't. They got to fight at least once. And then you move him up. And then what do you have? Look what happened in the case of Huck. They did the same thing. He schedules to fight Povetkin, and they move him in the heavyweight rankings. He fights one fight, and then he decides that he's not going to go back to the heavyweights, so he gets ranked back at number 1 at cruiserweight, whereas it should have been the other way around. You wait for the fight at heavyweight, then he gets his announcement, so he never got ranked in the heavyweight division. It was a courtesy from the WBO to give him a shot. So, yeah, okay, Tony. Tony's being funny here with Mayweather. Listen, I think Mayweather is an extremely talented fighter. There's no question about it. There's also no question about it in my mind that he's cherry-picked some of his opponents of late. I got to admit that when you go back there and during that time when he was fighting the Castillos and stuff, they were the good fights for him. But from the time he left Top Rank and the time he went on his own, which was the smartest business move he ever made by buying out Top Rank, from that point on, with the beginning of Carlos Baldemia choosing him over Margarito, he has been handpicking his opponents ever since. But hasn't Manny Pacquiao too? Hasn't the Klitschko's? I mean, we could say the Klitschko's have fought everybody that's in the division, which they have. But at this point, do we even really say, oh, the Klitschko's have to fight so and so now? It's not even that. That's not even an issue. We just wonder who's going to fight them next. Who are they going to pick? They've already fought everybody of note, so they're in a driver's seat. And it's almost like Floyd's in that same position. His diehard fans, they love him no matter what. He could do whatever he wants, and they're still going to love him. Me, I'm waiting for him to share that jail cell with Bubba and then have him come out speaking just a little higher tone than he does right now.
Wake up. It's time for the...
It's too early for a trivia question.
We have a winner. Yeah, this is kind of like a cheating thing, but almost. The question was, who fought the most fights between 1920 and 1929? Now, you guys have been really great guessing the wrong answers on this. What I mean by being great is there's a handful of you, at least 5 or 6, that have been answering every day, and you got to be pulling your hair out, wondering who it was. Well, we're going to put you out of your misery because our very own Tony Treem got it right. Now, here's the thing, though. I got to put an asterisk next to this, and I'm hoping Murphy's going to listen. All right? Yeah, Murphy heard it was this guy, but it wasn't that guy. The answer we were looking for, and the reason why I say it's a little cheat, is because the answer I was looking for was, and according to my records, young Stribling had 256 fights between 1920 and 1929. Now, I said, it's a little cheap because I was hoping that we would drag this on until we did the heavyweight spotlight with Tony, and we could have talked about this. But Tony had to ruin my party and get the answer correctly. But here's the twist. According to Tony, I'm wrong. Young Stribling is not the guy who had the most fights between 1920 and 1929. It happened to have been English lightweight Billy Bird had 318 fights between 1920 and 1929. So I would have accepted both answers from any of you guys, but unfortunately, Tony won. But here's the good news. We have a plethora of good and bad news. The book that was on the line, the Evander Holyfield way, he already has it, so he didn't want it. So what we're going to do is he asked me to donate a book to Dave Murphy, and I decided to pick out Blood in My Coffee because Dave Murphy's been dying to get that. So we're going to send a copy to Dave Murphy, Blood in My Coffee, and the Holyfield Way is going to be available to the next winner. No, I'm kidding. What Tony's going to do, we have a couple of copies of Holyfield Way. I probably have 4 more of these, and fear not, Murphy. We got Blood in My Coffee for you too. We got a couple more copies of that. But according to Tony, he's already got this book, so he wants us to give this book to somebody when they come to the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to put one aside and give it away as a door prize or pick somebody out or raffles or whatever we do, and that'll be courtesy of Tony Treem, so I thank you for that. We have the next copy of the Holyfield Way on the line for someone who gets this one right. Who won the most fights during 1930 and 1939? Who won the most fights between 1930 and 1939? If you know that answer, email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you need a lawyer, call the ones that keep me out of trouble. That's Campanaro and Tomkovich, 845-221-4099. On this day, April 9th, 1988, Evander Holyfield knocks out Carlos de Leon in the 8th round to win the WBC, and he unified all the rest of the cruiserweight titles in Las Vegas on this day, April 9th in 1988. That concludes our show for today. One important thing I need you to remember, you know what it is. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel. There's only one channel, the Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider right now and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call them. For all the information about Fight Now, you can find it at their website, www.fightnow.com. See you all tomorrow. Ciao, baby.